introduction, my name is Jerisha Hawk. I'm a high-ticket sales coach, a business coach, and I specialize in helping experts like you package the skills that you have and really learn how to sell your services at a high-ticket price point consistently online. And I'm just checking in with you guys. I haven't done a morning live stream in a while. I just straightened my wig. Y'all got my blonde girl out the closet. Because today's I'm really excited for today. You know, every month I do coaching calls for my clients, and today's one of those coaching days. And today's gonna be really, really awesome because I'm also doing a live coaching training for my new program, Right Response. So just gonna be just a jam-packed coaching day, and I'm really, really pumped. But I wanted to check in with you because, you know, I've had a lot of lessons learned recently, and recognizing that, and I wanted to just come on here and just share some reflection with you, you know, and I just wanted to share what I have learned from selling one program for 3 years. So I think it might be insightful for you, enlightening for you, and figured why not? Let's talk about it and do a quick Q&A if you guys have any questions or want further clarification on something. If you're catching this live, you can type those in the comments and we can chit-chat it through, okay? Hey Lex, hey Erin, hi Shakira, or Shakira, Sabrina's on, Patrina's on, hey y'all, hey Work So Flow. Really, really pumped. But so what I've learned from selling one thing for 3 years, this is, you know, I think a concept that you might understand, that there's this importance or there is a lot of profitability when you can just dial in and get focused in on something, and just commit to it. Like you probably understand that concept, right? That, you know, if I just when I focused on something, I have better odds of seeing results from it. Like, my camera on Facebook is like so bright. This is what happens when you're light skinned and you're sitting in front of a really like well lit window. Like if you're watching this on video right now, my skin is like washed out. But you probably understand that concept, right? Like when you get focused and when you dial in on something, you'll experience a larger amount of momentum. So if you've never thought that before or have been introduced to that thought before, that's a very honest thing, right? What is the simplest way to get from point A to point B? To go in a straight line, to have your blinders on and to have this focus and to just be committed to moving in that singular direction. I think a lot of us, myself, you included, probably understand that concept, but executing and applying and, being disciplined to maintain that focus is really, really hard and practical application. And one thing that I've learned from selling one program for 3 years is like that concept is very, very true. And it's extremely profitable. It is like ridiculously impactful. And, you know, there's a reason why we see so many people that we admire, celebrities, business owners, corporations, that when they are dialed in, especially in the beginning, there's a very big difference between growing a business and in that season of building traction, laying a foundation, putting the building blocks together versus, leveraging and scaling a business. Those are two very different aspects and require different levels of attention and discipline. But when you're in, and I still think that my business is in infancy stage. We've been in existence for a little over 3 years now. Like, we're still babies on the block. Like, when you really think about business in the grander scheme of things, like, we're toddlers. And there's just so, like, it can be very difficult I shouldn't say difficult. It can be hard for us mentally, for our feelings, our mindset, our emotion to just commit to doing one thing. But selling one thing for 3 years, like, one thing is like that thought process, that belief is true. Right? So much of business is just trying to figure out what is the promise that I can deliver based off the skills that I have acquired, and how can I, not only show that this thing actually works and get results from it, but also prove that I can teach it to somebody else so they can get results with it. That's all the game is. And I think I was talking to one of my clients today in services that sell, having this dialogue of, this, when you're just starting out and you're like and you're not really seeing the results that you want right away, it's really quick. It's really easy to just like give up or change direction, create a new offer, try to sell something different, because we can be one thing I've learned is that patience is vital. And it is so important to distinguish your feelings from facts and make sure that you are making decisions based off of data and what the facts actually prove and show, and not making decisions based off or being overly swayed based off of your lack of impatience, your ego, or how you might feel in a moment. That's probably one of the biggest lessons I have learned from selling one thing for 3 years. And one thing I was talking to one of my clients about today, she was like, this happens all the time with students inside of services that sell. It's like, Jay, I just started selling. I've done 2 live videos. I'm not seeing the results. Something must be wrong. I need to start adding in webinars and start doing Facebook ads. I really think I might need to change my program or lower my price, right? All of this, like all these stories get created when there's no data or facts to back it up. And it's like, you've done 2 videos over 2 weeks. Like, we do not have enough data to inform that decision. But I think it's like, again, when you're, when you're growing or building or pivoting, it can just be internally nerve-wracking when you're not seeing results fast enough. And it's really interesting because it's like, well, how are you defining success? How are you defining results? What expectations have you created in your mind? And are those expectations backed up by data to show that that's a logical expectation for you to have in the time frame that you've been going? And like, those are questions that I am literally asking myself on a weekly basis, because even though I understand, like, conceptually, intellectually, that selling one thing for an extended period of time is extremely profitable in like the way that I need to be doing it to build a really good foundation for my business, to make sure that we're setting ourselves up to be sustainable, that we are really making sure that our business is going to be something that will be profitable and not just something that will make money. I understand that intellectually. But then when you get into practical application, our human being, our ego kicks in, and it's like, why isn't, this isn't working. There's a problem here. Like, why aren't people getting it? Like, I'm doing videos and I'm not seeing anything happen, quote unquote. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned as well, is that like, successful people don't have less problems. Successful people just respond to problems differently. And every time you experience a quote unquote problem, it's really important for you to diagnose that problem properly. You have to like, there's one thing when you're building a business, which I wish more people talked about, is it's not just as simple as creating a dope product. That is the cost of entry into the world of entrepreneurship. You need to have a service that actually can get results for your clients. Like, if it is just, if you're just trying to mimic what you've learned from a coach, like, you enroll in a coaching program and then you just go try to teach the exact same thing that they taught, you're not going to be successful. If you just try to mimic or funnel hack what you see somebody else doing and then regurgitate the same thing and try to just put a different name on it and sell it, you're not going to be long-term successful. Having a product or a system, a framework that actually produces results is the cost of entry into business. And discovering what your proven process is and actually figuring out how to package your own intellectual property in a way that gets clients results or gets your customers results takes time. And this is why selling one thing for 3 years is so valuable, because these last 3 years in business, over 500 clients we have served has been an incubator for us to be able to prove that our process actually works. To prove that our process works for a variety of industries, to prove that our process works for a variety of, nationalities and cultural background, perspective, business owners who come into our framework. The 3 years of selling this one thing has allowed us to not only perfect like the machine that we take our clients through, but has allowed us to perfect the customer experience and the customer journey of what our our customers are experiencing as they are going through this machine to get the result. And we still haven't got it perfected yet, you know? Like after 500 clients in 3 years of having dedicated attention on this one program, there's still things that we are improving and enhancing and refining and learning and continuously improving. And it's just, I think like this lesson here is like twofold. Is when, it's ludicrous for you to sit here and think like, well, I read a book about this. I should go teach it. And you beat yourself up after 3 weeks of trying to sell it, of like, why isn't this working? It's like, that to me doesn't make any logical sense. So that's like one thing, is like selling one thing really allows you to, again, like the cost of entry into business, like your survival in entrepreneurship is going to be solely dependent on your ability to be able to produce results for clients, actually solve a problem that they, and when I say this, like people, creating something that solves a problem. Your clients have a million problems, right? As a human being, as an individual, we're dynamic beings. We have a plethora of issues in our life. But the reason why some businesses succeed faster than others is because you need to know what one problem that your prospect has that you're going to solve for them. It is not your responsibility to come in here and be Captain Save-A-Ho. Y'all know what I'm talking about here. When you're trying to solve every problem that your prospect has, I'm on an iPhone right now. This iPhone's number one job is to create, give me access to communicate with somebody. That's the only role of this iPhone, right? The role of this Mac mouse. This mouse has one job only. One specific function that this Apple mouse has is to allow me to navigate on my desktop. That's the only problem that this one product solves. And when you think about yourself and when you're growing your business and creating your service and packaging your offer, you need to get so granularly specific in regards to what is the specific, super dialed in problem that I'm going to solve for my prospect. And even though your product, like this iPhone, has the ability to solve a multitude of problems, right? You can download apps on it. You can track your fitness on it. Think about how they position it. Just because you're typically a really good products over deliver, and they end up being able to create a multitude of results for your client who's experiencing it. That's typically good products do that. But how you deliver your offer and how you over deliver it versus how you actually position it and sell it are two very different worlds. And that is something I have, really been able to get a better grasp on in learning over the past 3 years of selling one program. The one program that we've sold over the last 3 years of services that sell. Over 500 clients have gone through it. And that has been probably like the second biggest, stark reality that I've come to realize, is that how you service and the results that can happen in the process of a client going through your program is not how you position it and sell it. They're two very different realities. And how you would position it in the marketplace and try to take up market share and take up industry, space, and to be able to communicate your messaging and your marketing is different than this is the process. These are all the amazing results that you get. There's a very different way to market and sell, position, market, and sell versus how you package, serve, and deliver. They're two different mindsets, two different approaches. And when you can, after 3 years of selling this one thing, after, touching over 12,000 people, over 500 clients, I'm still learning how to dial in on my messaging and dial in on my marketing. So it makes it easier for somebody like you who doesn't know who I am or has never bought from me. It makes it easier for somebody who catches me live or whatever to be able to raise their hand and say, I think that she can help me, right? If you are a coach or service provider, first qualification, who wants to raise their rates, second qualification, and who wants to package a $1,500 to $15,000 offer and wants to learn a simple way to sell it. These are like 4 qualifiers. That's how you know I'm for you, right? If you do not want to, rely on, if you want to learn an organic way to sell that is simple for you to execute, that allows you to enroll $1,500 to $15,000 clients, using organic strategies, and you sell a service, that's how you know I'm for you. So like it's really important, I think, and that's again, the more that I have been able to sell this one thing and focus on this one thing as like the foundation of our business model, the more I'm learning that lesson. Even after 3 years, I'm reminded myself of like, yes, niching down really does work. Yes, dialing in on our messaging really is effective. Yes, picking a lane of, testing out different positioning and paying attention to the data and making decisions and pivoting based off of data and facts and the numbers and the metrics, that's what allows us to grow. And I'm still learning that lesson, like, or we're still being retaught that lesson even 3 years later. So those are some of the things I'm just noticing right now that, like, I don't know, like that's just been really impactful for me. And maybe it sounds simple, I don't know, or like not that mind blowing or like whatever. But there's a third lesson I've been learning too, is like this year, specifically 2020, we have been having record breaking revenue months. Like, and it seems like it's happening so easily. And I know that that's not true. I know it's not been easy, but I will say, I think it's been so simple. We have been literally from January, February, I imagine it's going to happen again in March. We have been having record breaking revenue months, earning more in 1 month cash collected than we ever have in the last 3 years in business. And thank you for throwing the hearts up on the screen. I'm very excited about it. But I was really sitting down. I was meeting with my team earlier this week and just asking, like, why is this happening? Like, why are we easily surpassing 30K months? Why are we why? And I shouldn't say easy. It's been so simple because I think I'm finally catching my stride on being obedient. Like all the things that we teach inside of Services That Sell, the things that my students are learning inside of Leverage on, like, you need to dial in on the promise that you deliver. You need to get a really, really, really good understanding of what your position is going to be in the marketplace. You need to know your client so well that even if they don't know that you can help them, you're able to know that. Like, and that you're able to say that this is who I'm for and this is who I'm not for. Like getting really, really good at turning clients away and making polarizing and repelling marketing content so that, like, by the time somebody gets on a sales call, like, we are only talking to people who have already been pre-qualified 3 or 4 times before we even take the time to hop on a sales conversation with them. And like those things are so, like, the reason why we're having the biggest months we've ever had. And I think, like, and also, this is something that we're going to be teaching today in the right response training of, like, how do you really dial in? How do you, create content that is repelling, that is polarizing, that only allows you to kind of weed through your audience to make sure that, it's kind of like a dog whistle. If you blow the dog whistle, if you're a dog and it's meant for you to hear the message, like, and it's designed for the person or the animal to hear the message, they're the only thing that can hear it. If I blow a dog whistle and I'm not a dog, like, I can't even hear the noise. And that's how dialed in you want your messaging to be, and how dialed in you want your positioning to be, is that, like, when you are creating content, it might annoy some people. Some people will unfollow me. Some people will, I don't know, probably go to the extent of blocking me. I really have no idea. But the people who I'm meant to serve and the people who I'm meant to help, they will hear me. Like, there is an art of being able to, in time and data that you have to collect to be able to dial in your messaging and your positioning that much. It's not just something that you can just go do in a weekend. And what was the point I was about to make? Like, that's probably the third lesson I've learned is, the third lesson I've learned is we're going to be talking about that in the right response training. And also that point of contact matters. I always say that sales is a contact sport. Conversions happen through conversation. And this is something we're going to be teaching today in the training for right response. So if you're somebody that needs help with, like, this aspect of sales, you're definitely going to want to sign up. You can visit JerishaHawk.com/live, LIVE, and you can enroll and sign up. It's a new program. This is not in any of my other programs, but it's specifically for those who need support with selling, especially when you're selling at a higher ticket price point. But those two concepts, sales is a contact sport and conversions happen through conversation, the only goal that we, like, literally at the beginning of the year when we were setting our rocks for the quarter and setting our goals and our objectives for the year, this year specifically, we have made sure that everything that we do is connected to like revenue generating activity. Every single thing that we do. So like I completely redid my organizational chart at the beginning of this year. If the person's role, if I could not clearly define how their contribution on the team was impacting our revenue, they got cut. Every role in our organizational chart, so I restructured it first and foremost to make sure that every position on our team had a responsibility that directly impacted our revenue, whether that impacted our profit or whether it impacted our top line revenue. So our org chart is not just about fulfillment, about people who just need to do things in the business. Even if you are a virtual assistant on our team, there is a direct line of sight from how your contribution impacts our revenue. Bottom line. So that is one thing that I got hyper focused on profitability and like hyper focused on every activity that we need to be doing if it does not make sense. And when it says make sense in the grander scheme of business, there's two things in business that matter. Like transactions taking place, how are you making money, and how are you keeping the money that you made? Meaning, how are you retaining your clients, your customer experience, managing your expenses to make sure that you're not just making money and then blowing it the second that it leaves. So those are some things that I have been hyper focused on this year, specifically. And so that's the first thing that we did at the beginning of the year that I think really that I've learned, and like the value of selling something for 3 years is I think, don't get bogged down with busy shit. Like I'm going to call it what it is. It is so easy to get distracted by shiny objects, to jump ship from the strategy that you've been focused on, to get derailed or, redirected because of comparison, because of what you see somebody else doing on Instagram. Like it is so easy to get sidetracked. And for me, like I have been, we had a reverse surprise party for my fiance last week. And one of our homeboys came over. He was like, Jay, you just been you just been in your own lane. And that was probably one of the biggest compliments I've received this year, because I have been. Like, you will not see Jerisha getting caught up in any, social media drama, getting caught up in like the little fangirl groups. You won't see Jay in any of it, because if it does not make sense, meaning the activity that I'm doing does not directly align with the clients, the client impact that we want to make this year and the profit goals that we have, I'm not doing it. Like blinders on. So that's the first thing that we did, is like we really restructured our organizational chart to make sure that every individual, myself included, I am an employee of my company, that every activity that, right, it is above me now. My friends got me hip to this over the weekend. Like I'm like a year late to this video, but like it's above me now. It is above me now. It's just above me now. So that's the first thing that we did, is just like really dialed in. And I started looking at myself as an employee versus looking at myself as a CEO or a founder, because my individual contributions have a huge impact on the growth of this business. So that's the first thing that we did. Realigned our org chart, made sure that there was a direct line of sight for every contribution that we're giving, that it directly impacts the profitability and the revenue that we're seeing. The second thing that I did is I focused only on those revenue generating activities. That takes a lot of discipline. It takes obedience. It takes persistence. It takes a daily level of recommitment. Every day I wake up and say, okay, I check my planner. I use my full focus planner that I've been talking to you guys about a lot. If it is not written down in the planner as it pertains to the revenue generating activity, Jay's not doing it. And like, that's it. Like all we have been focused on this year is dialing in, refining, continuous improvement to make sure that our client experience and our process, it's even easier, faster, simpler for our clients to get results. And the second thing that we've been focusing on is sales as a contact sport. Conversions happen through conversation. That is it. And like literally, guys, it has been the simplest 2 months of my entire business. I'm not saying it's been the easiest. I will say that because it can be very difficult to be obedient. It can be very challenging to remain focused. It can be very like emotional and mindset, like fuckery basically. I'm like cursing a lot this morning. If my fiance was here, he'd be so distraught. Like, that is not ladylike. But I have not, like, if it can be challenging to be obedient, to be disciplined, to like keep your blinders on, to maintain faith, and not get weighed down with worry. Like, those things are challenging to do, but that's an internal issue. Those are ego-driven things. That has nothing to do with the reality of the situation, and that has nothing to do with the data, the metrics, and the facts that are being presented on a daily basis when we're engaging in these activities and tracking whether or not these things are working. So I hope this was helpful for you. Those are some of the biggest lessons learned, that like niching down really does work. Selling one thing for an extended period of time is how you build a solid foundation for your business. It is how you really position yourself to have long-term sustainability. And I think also like focusing on what matters is key. Like the reason I can guarantee, I see Renee's on right now. We celebrated her 31st birthday this past weekend in Charlotte, and we were having like pillow talk at night. And I was like, if somebody commits to me for 18 months, I can like damn near guarantee that we will bring them to like 150K. Like I can guarantee it. If they actually listen and are obedient and disciplined and do what I tell them to do, we can take anybody to 150K in 18 months. Like, guarantee it. But the reason that some people will never surpass 6 figures, the reason why some people will never surpass 7 figures, or just get the level and the depth of the results that they want, is because they are not willing to sacrifice, they're not willing to be disciplined, and they're not willing to be obedient. I can guarantee right now, if you are a business owner, not seeing the revenue results that you want, if you are not seeing the impact that you want to be making with your clients, it is because of one of those 3 issues. It is not because of your strategy. It is not because of the coach that you probably did not hire. It is not because of anything else. It is because of sacrifice, discipline, and obedience at the end of the day. That is it. And when I say those 3 things, let me break this down real quick, because I know this is going to snatch somebody's wig all the way off. And it's just a reality check we need to have. But this is something that I've learned in 3 years of being in business. Anything is possible if you're willing to sacrifice, be disciplined, and be obedient. Literally anything is possible. And I was talking to my team earlier this week, and we start all of our team meetings with a personal best and a business best. And I told her my business best is, I just feel like we are in a season of infinite capability. Like, we are capable of doing anything that we set our minds to. And she was like, okay, like, Jay, you like real hype on this, like explain further. And when I say capable, achieving the goals that we want is not like you have to have this certain level of privilege. You don't have to come from a certain background. You don't need to have a certain amount of money. It's just like, I know that we're capable because I know that I am willing to sacrifice to be disciplined and to be obedient. Like, that's how I know that we're capable of doing anything that we want, because I know that these 3 skill sets have been, like, I have been working on those 3 skill sets individually over the past 3 years. So my stamina is at a different level. Like, my endurance is at a different level. Like, we're capable of doing anything. And I wholeheartedly believe it. So what I mean by sacrifice is, when I say sacrifice, I'm not meaning that like you need to go sell your house, get rid of your car, and put yourself in like this poverty state. That is not what I mean by sacrifice. But what I mean by sacrifice is, what are you willing to, you know what we're going to do? You guys know me. I love getting actual definitions. When we talk about sacrifice, it's like we have to make sure, hold on, I'm trying to find a good definition of here. So sacrifice is the act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or more worthy. That's the definition of sacrifice. Sacrifice is a verb. It is something that you have to do. That you're willing to give up something now. A short term, a lot of the time for us, it is a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Are you willing to give up something and sacrifice something now because of a greater vision of something that's going to be more important or more worthy down the line? An example of that. So many of you, I'm calling you out because I know that I do this too, and I know that I'm not alone. We self-sabotage by depriving ourselves of sleep. It's so dumb, but we all do it. Like, like if you are an individual that stays up too late, that is on their phone until 12:30, that wakes up every morning feeling groggy, not feeling fully rested, and you know why. It's because like you should not have watched those 3 extra episodes of Counterpart on Amazon Prime last night. You should not have stayed up and watched the 4th episode of Love is Blind on Netflix. Like that's a form of self-sabotage. You're depriving yourself of sleep because you know that you need sleep in order to operate and be fully functioning the next day. And then you blame yourself the next day when you wake up late, when you should have worked on your business before you went to your 9-to-5 job. Then you go through your job all day, like half-assing it because you're tired. And then you get home and you're like, well, I can't work on my business because I'm too tired. I'm going to turn Netflix back on. I know I just got somebody's life on that one. So sacrifice is, what are you willing to sacrifice today with the intention of being able to better position yourself for what you want tomorrow? What you want next week, what you want next year. Like Renee, I know you're on right now. She reminded us, I think, of an amazing quote this weekend of like, the time is going to pass anyways. You might as well make the time worthwhile while it's passing. Right? So like that is a form of sacrifice, but like, what are you willing to sacrifice? So many people are living, beyond their means because they won't sacrifice, Starbucks every day for the next 60 days, not buy Starbucks to hire the coach. They know they need the help. They know they need the help from. Like, you are not willing to put yourself in a level of discomfort, quote unquote, to better position yourselves for the reality or the results that you want to be experiencing tomorrow. So that's what I mean by sacrifice. What I mean by discipline is like doing it even when you don't feel like it. Doing it when you're not motivated, doing it when and again, these are like, I'm saying these things because these are things that I still have to practice, and that, it's still not a habit for me to be disciplined. It's still not a habit for me to be obedient. It's still not a habit for me to sacrifice. It is a choice that I make. It is a very intentional, conscious choice, a decision that I make to be disciplined. When I wake up in the morning and, whatever it is that you need to do, like, I don't know, maybe it's just you going live, doing a live stream. Well, I don't feel like it. My hair is not done. All these excuses pop up. What do you honor? Are you disciplined to doing the thing that you know that you will produce the result that you want? Or are you disciplined to your comfort zone? Are you disciplined to your lack of sacrifice? Are you disciplined to hiding and playing small? Like, what are you being disciplined to? And the third thing is obedience. And obedience is a very much like faith-based concept. Because when I truly believe that we are all here as ambassadors on behalf of the kingdom, right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. I am an ambassador on earth sent from the kingdom of God, right? So when it comes to being obedient, many of us, I think every single individual here who is listening to this, you have a calling that has been placed on your life. Your calling does not necessarily equate to your purpose, okay? So many people are trying to create a business out of their purpose, when really that purpose thing probably should just be a passion project that you do, or a hobby. Not every passion needs to be a business. But there is a calling that has been placed on your life, and there's also this humanly experience of you experiencing a passion. Those two things are not always the same, right? But this calling that has been placed on your life, God has already given you the provision, right? The skill set to be able to be of service to somebody else here on earth. I wholeheartedly believe it. And obedience is a spiritual experience, right? Because in order for you to operate in obedience, you first need to be in communication with God, right? You need to be hearing from him. You need to be praying before you pursue, making sure that you are being obedient to what he has assigned you to do, that you are being obedient to what he has called you to do, not what you feel comfortable doing. Listen, right? Not what you feel qualified to do. Because sometimes your belief on what you are qualified for severely is lower than what God has already, that what God will qualify you for having, right? God is not called the qualified. He qualifies the called. but it's your responsibility to be obedient to that call. And the thing about God that I love so much is that he gives us freedom of choice. You have to choose to be obedient. You have to choose to get into communication to him. You have to choose to listen to him. You have to choose to respond to what he has called you to do. And sometimes what he has called you to do is in direct conflict of what your comfort zone is in the flesh. And that's where it can get tricky, right? That's where it can get tricky. Because it's like, then what are you going to be disciplined to? What are you going to be obedient to? What are you going to sacrifice to? Are you going to be obedient and disciplined to the call? Or are you going to be obedient and disciplined to your comfort zone? Questions that need answers. And I would really encourage you. This is something that I've learned 3 years of selling one thing is on a daily basis, I am tested. Are you going to be obedient, Jay? Or are you going to be, are you going to be obedient to the call? Or are you going to be obedient to your comfort zone? It's like, it's just a matter of truth. Like, are you going to be disciplined to doing what's required? Or are you going to be disciplined to, running when it gets hard, to staying down when you fail? It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So I think on that note, we're gonna end. I think we're gonna close out on that. I think that's a really solid note to ring in for you to start your day with. So yeah, it's like that. That's really all it is, guys. But like I said, I'm super excited for today. I have a coaching call with my leverage clients. I have a coaching call with my services that sell clients. And like I said, I'm introducing a very new training program. It's called Right Response, and it will walk you through the psychology behind high ticket sales. How you're going to learn how to create your own sales system on this training today. So by the end of the training, you will have your own predetermined, documented sales system. You will also understand what is the system that your buyers are using when they're making a buying decision and how to align your system of sales with how buyers make decisions. You'll be able to overlap those two things. And especially if you're somebody who either wants to raise their rates or has already raised their rates and is having a tough time selling at that elevated price point, this training is like, you need this. This training will help you have the confidence to be able to raise your rates and sell at a higher ticket if you're not already doing that. And if you already have a high ticket offer, but you're not selling it as consistently as you want to be, this will help you bridge that gap so that you can be selling more seamlessly. Because there's a different approach that you need to be taking, and there's a different way that you need to be marketing when you're trying to sell something that is $1,500 to $15,000. Right? There's just a different way of sales when you start going into this 4 and 5 4 and 5 figure price tags, versus if you're selling something for 67 or 27 bucks. Oh yeah, Jen Matthews, I just answered that. Yeah, she said, is this training still beneficial even if you don't have a high ticket offer yet? If you desire to have a high ticket offer, if you desire to raise your rates, this will definitely, I think, really build your confidence and give you a solid foundation to start doing that proactively. So absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are so quiet lately. There's no questions popping up. What are you guys up to? Do you guys have any questions? Felicia said, I guess I should prepare to have my edges snatched all day. Yeah. I think so, Felicia. Felicia's in services that sell. And she signed up for the Right Response training. So like, get ready for a lot. Like, one thing, if you guys are new to me, one thing that you will learn about me very, very quickly is I am a straight shooter. I am a truth teller. I keep it real. I am very direct. I am blunt. I will typically be the one to say the thing that everybody else is thinking but does not have the courage to say. I will be the one to say it. So yeah, that is how I do things. So one thing, really great question, Michelle. So we're teaching the training live tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody who buys will also get we're going to be breaking down the recording into more of a course format. So, because the training tonight will probably be 2 or 3 hours, probably about 2 hours long. And then we'll be doing Q&A. So, but we're going to be repackaging it into a more digestible format over the weekend. So if you sign up for the Right Response training, you can come join the training live tonight at 6 p.m. If you sign up, there's also an opportunity for you to buy the sales scripts. So this is something that all of the content will be delivered to you in replay format on Monday, March 9th. So if you purchase the scripts, or if you purchase it and can't come live, or if you purchase it, you do come live and you want access to the replay recording, you get all of that. That will be delivered to you on Monday. So we'll be putting you into a course format. You'll receive a username and password so you can access the material a lot more easily and, just seamlessly. So we're going to teach it live tonight, and then you guys will get access to everything again on Monday. So that is the goal and the objective for that. That was a really great question. And yeah, like I said, if some of you guys bought the sales script, some of you guys didn't, so I can explain that really quickly. So the sales training itself really will help you create your sales system, help you understand the most common objections that your clients will give you, how to overcome those client objections. But I know some of you guys like to have some guidance on like, what exactly do I need to say in certain situations? So we have put together sales scripts. And these are more of like guidelines that you can follow, but basically it'll be a scenario. And then underneath that scenario, I'll explain that scenario. And then underneath that scenario, we'll give you some scripts to be able to use on how to combat that objection. So that is what we'll be doing in the sales scripts if you choose to add that onto your order. And something special that we're doing is if you are on the training live tonight, you guys received an email from me that asks you to complete a questionnaire. And I'm going to be picking people from that questionnaire to do live role playing with. So if you have a specific sales objection that you always get, and you want me specifically to say like, hey, Jay, this is the sales objection I get. How do I overcome it? I'm going to be doing a Q&A at the end of the training to overcome whatever specific sales objections that you submit. So we'll be doing a bit of role playing, and then I'll be documenting those, because I think sometimes like we get the objection, but sometimes we just need to know how to work through it. So we're going to be doing that at the very end of the training tonight, doing some Q&A and role playing on how to overcome objections based off the objections that you submit. So I think it'll be just really like real time, direct, supportive, guidance based on what your individual situation is. So that's just something bonus that we're doing for those who join live and who complete their questionnaire. And then if you sign up for the training, you also should have received your workbook. Guys, it is so good. The workbook is so good. The training is about to be so good. Like, even my fiance bought the training, which is hilarious because, like, he'll be in the next room while I'm teaching it. But he's like, no, Jay, I need to buy this. Like, I need to have my skin in the game. Like, I'm not going to just ear hustle on you. I'm not going to be as committed versus if I buy it. So he even signed up for it. But when you enroll, you will get also this. It's a 30-page workbook. And the workbook will basically walk you through everything that we do in the training. So you're not going to have to worry about what notes are important for you to take. Like, I've literally already created a template for you to follow, to take notes. For any of the models that I'll be introducing to you and the frameworks that I'll be introducing to you, they are all in here, and you'll be able to just kind of fill in the blanks, take notes next to it, and create your own sales system, okay? So if you want to raise your rates, if you want to increase your prices, if you want to get better at like sharpening your skills at how to overcome objections, how to handle sales objections, how to strengthen your marketing system so that you are removing that risk and overcoming objections before you ever get on a sales call, this training, you need to be there. So yeah. All of that's going to be happening tonight. That was a really great question, Michelle. Is it Rondisha? I think maybe I might have said your name wrong. She said I just printed off my workbook. Good stuff. Robin said you said a mouthful today. Thank you for the motivation. You guys are welcome. This is just what I'm learning, what I'm noticing in myself. And I always love being able to figure out things like what's working for me and share them with you guys. So I'm really glad this was helpful. But I'm about to go make lunch because I'm not going to have time to cook later on today because I have so many trainings that are going on today. So I'm going to go cook my lunch and dinner now, and then get on my coaching call for my leverage clients, and then get on my coaching call for services that sell, and then regroup and come back and teach this training tonight for the right response. So I hope to see you there. It's at a very approachable price point, guys. You guys know that Typically, I don't sell anything less than $2,000. But because I know like this fear of not knowing how to overcome objections is typically the biggest barrier for you with being able to confidently and proactively start selling, I wanted to create something that was at an approachable price point so you can overcome that hurdle, so you can just finally launch your services, finally start selling, finally have confidence to put yourself out there. So that's the reason why the price point is what it is for this program. So again, you can visit jerishahawk.com/live. If you're on Instagram, the link is in my bio, or you can send me a DM and I'll send you the link so you can register. If you're on Facebook right now, the link is in the description of this video, and I'm going to also post it in the comments. So I look forward to seeing you guys there tonight. It's going to be so, so good. And I will talk to y'all soon. So have a great night or a great day. Bye, y'all.